Welcome, everybody, to the NFL show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. We are back to the NFL show. We've got our season preview and predictions today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Grueling Truth. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button on YouTube, and make sure you check out in YouTube the link below to go to BetMGM, your top sports book for betting on the NFL this season. I am your co-host for the NFL show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host. First up, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Good. I got a question. Can I ask my question?
Well, yeah, I thought you were going to ask it when you said I have a question.
Is this the NFL Pick'em show, not that damn boring NFL show that you two clowns did yesterday? I got a good nap after that show.
Well, that's good because old people need naps, so we're glad we can help.
You're right, but this is the NFL Pick'em show where we make predictions.
And today we are going to predict who's going to the Super Bowl, who's going to win the division, who will be the surprise teams, who will be the teams that go from being playoff teams to crappy teams. And since we're talking about crappy, I also want to welcome to the show Dan Kornhauser, NFL beat writer for the Grueling Truth. How you doing, Dan?
What's up, guys? It's the first,
buddy. Welcome back.
First show of a new season. I'm humbled to return as your Pick'em champion, and I'm looking forward to defending my championship. Probably.
Dan, you want to be a guest on the IU Basketball Weekly show next week?
No, he doesn't.
No basketball, football season. That's it. That's all that matters.
All right. How about the Nebraska volleyball team? 93,000 people in Kornhauser Stadium.
Did they charge those people to pay for tickets?
Probably not. No, I think they probably just told everybody come give them a free case of beer, 12-pack of beer, and let them shuck some corn in Nebraska. And
there went our ratings
set a record
in Nebraska
for chick sports.
All right.
You know what? There were more people at that game yesterday or whenever that volleyball game was than the entire WNBA season to date.
Probably.
For all teams.
Damn, is that an actual stat?
No,
did they actually say
not
that?
An actual stat.
It's actual if I say it.
Yes, because Steve is the fact checker of everything sports-wise. All right, guys, let's start off with the NFC East, where most people right now think this is a two-horse race between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. The NFC East has had a repeat champion since 2004. Dan, is this the year they have a repeat champion? And there's an echo coming from you.
There's an echo? Oh my God! Let me adjust my volume.
That's not Dan.
But
that's coming from you, Mike.
It's not coming from me. See, because Dan just adjusted it. He's fine.
Okay.
So be quiet, Steve, and sit in the corner. Go ahead, Dan.
To answer your question, Mike, yes, I think this is the year we're going to have a repeat champion. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's very clear. They're the best team in this division. They're the best team in the NFC. They've got depth. They've got the best offensive line. They've got an elite pass rush. They led the NFL in sacks last season. I think they had finished with the third most sacks ever in the regular season. They're stacked. They have depth. They have youth. They beefed up in the offseason, in the draft. And I don't see any way how, as good as the Cowboys might be, I don't see how they overtake them. I don't trust the Giants, and the Commanders are irrelevant.
So, Dan, my question is this, though. The Philadelphia Eagles did lose their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. But those two things are, especially when they happen in the same year, sometimes hard to overcome.
Yes, that is true. But the system remains. The head coach is still there. And all the players are still there. As long as Jalen Hurts takes that expected step forward as a passer this season, I don't think it matters who the offensive and defensive coordinators are.
I think it always matters who the offensive and defensive coordinators are. We'll get to Lamar Jackson later. Steve, the Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, Washington Commanders, if any of those three teams are going to contend against the Eagles to win the division, which one is most likely to do it?
Well, I think it's without saying. I'm not predicting Philadelphia to win that division right now because they went from having the easiest schedule in the NFL last season to now having the most difficult schedule in the NFL. I think the game's going to be a lot tougher for them. I didn't see that team really improve a lot. I think Danny's right. A lot of it hinges on Jalen Hurts, how much he improves and continues to get better. The Cowboys have just sneakingly got a little bit more mature, I want to say. I'm not even sure they got better, but I think they've gotten a little more mature every year. Jerry Jones seems to have calmed down a little bit. I mean, that's like
not really. He just traded for Trey Lance.
Yeah, I know. Move that is. I'm sure you guys will have comment on that.
It's just stupid. It's the only comment I have.
I do, but I think the Eagles fall to a wild card position this year, and I think the Cowboys, with a little bit easier schedule to play, are going to rack up with just one or two more wins, and I think it's going to be pretty much a dead heat. But I think the Cowboys will get the Eagles in this and take the division. So I think you will have a new division champ this year on the NFC East.
And I will say this, Dan, before you say anything to Steve, I agree with Steve. I think the Dallas Cowboys win this division. I think the defense is better with Stephon Gilmore and Mazie Smith. You've added Brandon Cooks, a healthy Michael Gallup. I think Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. Remember this. I mean, I think the Philadelphia Eagles offense or defense looks so good because of that schedule. Because I remember Dallas throwing 40 on them in a playoff game. The Chiefs didn't have a lot of issues scoring on them in the playoffs. And remember this. They played a very average Giants team in their first playoff game. They played a team without even a quarterback in San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. I'm taking Dallas also. What do you think about that, Dan?
Dallas isn't a bad team. They have arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL in Micah Parsons. Yeah. They have elite pieces on that defensive side of the ball at all levels. Their offense, they've got a top 10 quarterback in Dak Prescott. I love their rushing attack. I don't think they're going to miss Zeke Elliott at all. No. They've got the weapons in the passing game. Now that they got Brandon Cooks in the offseason, they've got a wide receiver trio that should be mentioned in the top 5 wide receiver, top 3 wide receiver trios in the NFL. I love CeeDee Lamb. I love Cooks as a number 2 option, and they're right.
Dan, let me ask you a question, Dan. Based on what you just said, how the hell did you pick Philadelphia over Dallas?
Because Philadelphia is better. Their quarterback is better. Their ground game is better.
Really?
Their weapons are better. The offensive line is better. The defense is better.
Don't they open up against the Chiefs?
No, that's the Detroit Lions.
Oh, the Lions open up against the Chiefs on Thursday night.
So the Lions start 0-1. Too bad. I like the Lions.
Yep, they start 0-1.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this. I don't even think the Chiefs win their division this year, so I don't think that Lions 0-1.
I'll tell you. Well, we'll get to that division later. But now I think the Cowboys and the Eagles both go about 10-7. Because I still the Giants are just one of those sneaky teams that freaking win games, and you could see 2 wild card teams coming out of the NFC East this year.
Yeah, but that's also because the NFC is so bad. Because
that's what I'm saying.
Look at the Giants last year.
You could get the Giants and the Eagles or the Cowboys along with the division winner out of that division. You could have 3 teams out of the 4. If the Washington Commanders are still relying on Carson Wentz, gee, many Christmas. Good luck for them. I got a Carson Wentz jersey for sale for $1.95, and I'll pay shipping.
Steve, he's not on their team. It's going to be Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett. I think the Giants. The Giants are going to be around 500. I think Daniel Jones showed some improvement. You got Wink Martindale's defensive scheme is always good, but the Giants can't hang with the Cowboys or the Eagles.
Martindale hosted Joker's Wild.
Yes, he did. He hosted a lot of shows like that.
Yeah, he did. A big game show host back in the 70s.
But I don't think it's the same guy. All right.
Martindale's with Bob Barker now.
Next up, we're going to go to the NFC South, which is one of the worst divisions in football. So if you have to pick a winner here, and you do, Steve, who wins the NFC South?
Falcons. Cream of the crop. I think they go 10-7. cream of the crap. They made some good moves off season, turning a questionable roster, team that can get physical in the run game and efficient in a passing standpoint. And I think it's more along the lines that the Falcons made great moves to improve themselves, as I just don't think Carolina, New Orleans, or Tampa Bay did crap to stay up with them. I mean, like I said, I think the Falcons are cream of the crap in the NFC South.
All right, Dan, agree or disagree?
I am going to disagree. Nothing against Atlanta. I like what the pieces that they have, particularly on offense. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson.
They have no quarterback.
Great young pieces, but yeah, as Mike, as you just said, Desmond Ridder or Tyler Heineke are going to be taking snaps this year. I expect Heineke at some point to be taking snaps because I don't think Ritter's that good, to be completely honest. But they just don't have enough talent overall, particularly on their defense. Is their defense going to step up?
So what are you doing, Dan? You banking on Derek Carr?
I am.
There you go.
I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints. I think they're the team that's in position to win this division. It should be the Carolina Panthers, but I think they're at least a year away. They're a little too young for me.
You know that Derek Carr took the Cooter preference test, and they said he should be a fire watcher.
Fire watcher?
Yeah, he took the Cooter preference test.
Like Billy Bob Cooter?
No, didn't you ever see Caddyshack?
No.
Yeah, he took Chevy Chase took the Cooter preference test, and they told him his career path should be a fire watcher.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So
we'll go back to that. But yeah, no, the Saints are just, I think, the best team in this division. For the last couple of years, I've been saying they're like the Broncos. They're a real quarterback away from being good. And I think Derek Carr is that quarterback. Is he elite? No. Can he be a top 10? Sure. I mean, back end top 10, but why not be top 10 come by the end of the season? They've got good weapons on offense. Their defense is a little aged, but they're good at all three levels as well, and they've got depth. I think it's the Saints division to lose.
All right, so I'm going to disagree with both of you.
Ooh.
I am, because I think you're going to get a Saints defense that regresses, and Alvin Kamara is probably going to miss some time with suspension. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the team with the best quarterback in this division, and that would be the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young. I think if Carolina can deliver just a top 15 defense, they will have an above-average offense, and I think 9 or 10 wins is achievable. And probably only win the division, get beat first round of playoffs. But I think Bryce Young, no matter his size, is the real deal. I think Carolina wins the division, and nobody else makes the playoffs.
Carolina's got some good pieces, too. I like what they did this offseason. They rebuilt that passing game.
You don't have to sell me. I just picked them to win the division. Go ahead.
No, I'm just telling our viewers. And, maybe Steve isn't too up to snuff on the Carolina Panthers.
I guarantee Steve knows everything that needs to be known about the Carolina Panthers.
I'm sure he does. But they upgraded their passing game. I like what they did this offseason. I loved the Bryce Young pick. I don't care that he's miniature. He was the best quarterback in this class, and I like his potential.
All right.
I don't like putting a lot of stock in young quarterbacks. I think it takes a lot of time.
You picked the Falcons to win the division, didn't you, Steve?
Yeah, but they've got a lot of support around, better support around them than Carolina does. You're talking about putting all.
Yes, but this is the difference. Desmond Ridder is terrible. He's never going to be an NFL quarterback. Bryce Young will be. Next up,
Heineke can play.
He can play average. Next up, NFC North, which, Dan, your Minnesota Vikings, your Detroit Lions are one of the favorites. They last made the playoffs in 2016. They haven't won a playoff game since 1991. One of the longest championship droughts in sports. Can that end this season? Because I think Detroit could win the North. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings. I think they will regress from last year. They won 13 games in a regular season last year. It came with a -3 point differential, which I've never seen, which I don't think any team's ever done. Offensively, Kevin O'Connell will keep this group humming all year. Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in this division. And I also like to hire Brian Flores, but Minnesota simply doesn't have the bodies, experience, or talent in the secondary to have a top 15 defense. So I still think in this division they can win 10 or 11 games. And I think this with the Lions, how many times have we seen a team? I mean, usually they're called the Cleveland Browns, where everybody thinks this is the year. And, they've got one of the best rosters in the NFC, but there's a lot more pressure on this team than usual. This isn't last year where nobody expected anything. I think that makes it a little different. I actually hope Detroit wins this division. But I like Kevin O'Connell, what he's done. I think Green Bay is in trouble. I think the Chicago Bears are actually trending in the right direction. I could see the Bears winning 7 or 8 games, and Minnesota and Detroit being somewhere between 8 and 10. But I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings, Dan.
See, the NFC North is tough for me because on one hand, I do see a world where the Detroit Lions can win the division. And like you said, they do have a talented roster, arguably the second best offensive line in the NFC. But their defense, I like the additions Detroit made on the defensive side of the ball, but I still don't trust it. I don't know if it's because I'm jaded after all these years of watching these piss poor Lions teams.
I know how that can get, by the way, for my own team. So
maybe it's just because I'm jaded because my teams sucked for the majority of the years that I've liked them. But I can't do it. The issue is you got to pick a winner. Who's going to win it? And all these teams got their own bugaboos. I don't think Minnesota is going to do what they did last year.
They can't. They got lucky.
Yeah.
Way too lucky. Every week, won 13 games was a fluke. I think they win more like 10 games this year, and I think that would be considered a success.
Yeah.
But I can't pick the Bears because I don't know where Justin Fields is going to be in his development. I think they might be at the very least another year away, even if Fields takes a step forward as a passer this year. And with the Green Bay Packers, they also have a question at quarterback in Jordan Love. Now, I know there's been rave reviews for him this whole offseason, and he's made a lot of good throws in camp, and the team is impressed, and they're happy moving forward. But I'm not hedging my bets on that either. There's something with Green Bay that feels off. I don't know if outside of Love. I don't know if it's the fact that it's weird not seeing Aaron out there for the first time in 20 years, or if it's the fact that their receivers and tight ends are so young. I mean, they're going to be depending on Musgrove, the rookie tight end who they drafted this year.
How about this, Dan?
Probably be their starter.
Dan,
and
real quick, you know what the team the Packers remind me of? They remind me of the Falcons because I think they have a good roster. I think they've got a strong offensive line. I think they've got a quality skill group and a good coaching staff.
They might have the best defense in the
yeah, but like on defense, they should be a top 10 defense in the NFL. But it's the same thing. Desmond Ridder, Jordan Love. Now, if Ridder or Love have really good seasons, then those teams are going to go to the playoffs. But I just don't see it. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah. So I'll go with Minnesota as well, very begrudgingly. But I think there's a world where like a team like the Packers could be a surprise with their ground game and their defense.
Yeah, but it's going to have to be Jordan Love to do it. It's just like if Desmond Ridder has a good year, Steve will look like a genius. Steve, NFC North, who do you like?
I like Detroit. I a little more faith in your team than you have in your own team, Danny. I love Dan Campbell as a coach. I mean, I think he relates to the players well. They seem to love to play for him. I think he's going to get more out of those guys. Goff just continues to get incrementally better every year. I mean, he's never going to be a bona fide superstar quarterback in the NFL, but he's making less and less stupid mistakes that he made for the Rams, and he's making more few of those. I tell you, I think that the Lions go into Arrowhead, and it's not going to be a cakewalk for Kansas City to win that game. I think they'll win it, but I think the Lions are going to give teams all they want, and I think they may be the new monsters of the Midway in the NFC North for a while right now with Dan Campbell. And his coaching style. I just like the moxie of that team. The question is if there really is a big question, I think there's only one team that comes out of the NFC North, and that's the winner. I don't think any wild card team is going to come out of that.
See,
division.
I think there could be wild card teams. Just because I think you get one, maybe two out of the NFC East, but somebody's got to come out of somewhere else. And I believe I'm not ripping on Detroit. I think Detroit and Minnesota are both 9 to 10 win teams. I'm just kind of like Dan. I just don't trust what I see yet.
Yeah, no, I get that, and you guys are a little bit more analytical on this stuff than I am. I fly more by the seat of my pants, and I think to not find an analytical coach who relies so heavily on his assistants to run the damn franchise and team. I think Dan Campbell's in control of that team. I think that they reflect his mentality and his spirit and his body physique and everything. And, Goff, I think, is going to be more than yeoman. And I just like Detroit, how fast they rebound from what's going to happen in Kansas City. Like we said, Minnesota, damn, I mean, every damn week is, God, how did Minnesota win that game again? The luckiest team in the NFL, and that crap doesn't hold up forever in the NFL. So, Green Bay's got some rebuilding to do. Chicago is just Chicago. I got to get out of Soldier Stadium and go build a new stadium somewhere and start afresh, and just start over and get out of the monster of the Midway days, because Butkus ain't there anymore. The fridge ain't there anymore. Who was their goofball quarterback they had?
Jim McMahon.
McMahon is not there. Those guys, quit living in the past like the Bears.
The
Bears.
All right.
I like Detroit. I think Detroit goes 10-7 and wins that division by 2 games. And I don't think another other team comes out of the NFC North this year. That's not to say they're not all getting better, but I think this is Detroit's to lose right now.
All right, Dan. NFC West, which looks to be a 2-horse race. The 49ers, which we're not sure about the quarterback situation. The Seahawks, who are a team that is vastly improved. I think both these teams are going to make the playoffs. The question is, can Geno Smith repeat the first 10 weeks of last season? Because if he can, I think they win this division. But can he?
That is the big question. And as you said, they've got a ton of talent on both sides of the ball. I love what Seattle did this offseason. And they've got a lot of young players in key spots, particularly along the offensive line, that if they take that next step this season, guys like Charles Cross, Abraham Lucas, the tackles, I think this team could really be good. But I don't trust Geno Smith, man. I didn't trust him throughout his early streak where he was one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league for the first half of the season. And this team was winning, and he was looking good every week. And then the wheels fell off.
So the question is this, Dan, do you trust Brock Purdy?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I don't know why I do. Maybe it's just because I want him to succeed, because he was Mr. Irrelevant, because, no one really gave him a shot at all, myself included. And he actually played well when he was playing, and they won games.
Didn't he just hand the ball off and play defense?
Huh?
Didn't he just kind of hand the ball off and play defense?
Yo, he did his job the best, man.
Yeah. I guess how many good teams?
None.
Okay. But we're going to rip Geno Smith.
That's the major question for them, too. But I trust the 49ers organization and team as a whole, because it might be outside of Philly, might be the most talented team in the league outside of Philly.
All right.
All around.
Yeah, that's stupid. Well, it is. I mean, because
I know our resident.
The 49ers.
I'm not sure it's stupid, Mike. It's
bold prediction. The 49ers, they're always overrated.
I think the 49ers are pretty good, and
I think they're pretty good too. But they are also coached by Kyle Shanahan, who has a tendency to screw up shit at the end of the season.
You're not wrong.
And I mean, I like Seattle here, and I don't like Pete Carroll because he has a tendency to too. But I just think that you can't draft Trey Lance in the first round and then have Mr. Irrelevant. No, you got to dump him because you never should have picked him.
Right.
I remember having this argument last year at this time where I tried to explain to Dan that Trey Lance was not an NFL quarterback. I was right, Dan. You were wrong.
Well, he's not going to be for long.
I can also tell you this. Brock Purdy is not either. Brock Purdy is a dude that's a really good backup that can plug some holes. So what the question is, can Geno Smith do what he did last year? If he does, I think Seattle wins the division. I don't know that he can or not, but I know Brock Purdy won't. So I'm going to go with Seattle, Steve.
I mean, that's a fair pick. Top to bottom, Seattle may be the best team in that division. Well, I mean, I don't know. 49ers are pretty good. I think I'm not sure I would have made the move of dumping Trey Lance when Brock Purdy is your only other go-to option. I probably would have.
Because it's obvious Trey Lance. Yeah, but Steve, what you got to look at is Trey Lance has been there for 2 or 3 years. They obviously know Trey Lance.
But what they get for him? Did they get anything for him?
Yeah, they got a 4th round
a mid-round pick. I think it was like a 3rd or 4th round.
Remember this, Tom Brady was a 6th round.
All right, okay. I don't know that Brock Purdy is somebody I would put all my eggs into one basket to when you have as good a team as the 49ers are everywhere else. So I don't know. I think the other wild card team comes out of this division. I think you guys haven't mentioned one quarterback. And that's Stafford.
Because their team is shit, and they're going to have a bet. Matt Stafford's career is pretty much over.
Yeah,
I love Stafford too.
But he's still capable of having a great year.
I don't think he is. I think he's old. I think he's been beat up. He missed a lot of last season.
He's had a lot of personal issues with his wife.
I think
having brain cancer and things.
The Rams need to go 2-15 because the only thing that will save McVay from losing his job 2 years from now is if they get Caleb Williams or Drake May. And really, the only one that saves it for sure is Caleb Williams.
I think the biggest race in NFL is the Caleb Williams race. Hell, you got the Colts, you got the Cardinals in that one, you got the Rams now, maybe you're saying. You got more teams vying for that than you do the Super Bowl, legitimately. You get their hands on Caleb Williams. So I like the 49ers here, and I like the Seahawks in a tight race over the Rams for the wild.
Yeah, I think it'll be close, and I think both of them will make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Seahawks and 49ers, one of the two is the other wild card team, and one of the two wins the NFC West.
And it
where it falls, I think it lays in the hands.
How about this? It wouldn't surprise me if they're the NFC Championship game against each other.
They could be. I mean, the thing about it is for you guys, you don't see a lot of the West Coast football out here, and it's
this ain't college, Steve. Yes, we do. I've got the red zone.
You don't get the game. You get the Bungles every week.
Yeah, I get the Bungles. That's terrible. Well, you get to watch the Chargers and the Rams. That's pretty
well. One's a recent Super Bowl champion, and the other is one of the better teams in the AFC.
Are they? All right. Next up, we've got the AFC.
Got one of the best quarterbacks.
The AFC East. They have a guy who is better than most. That is it. AFC East, we got the New York Jets, Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins. To me, outside of the AFC North, this is probably the toughest division in football. The Jets went 7-10 last year, but we're 6-1 when they had decent quarterback play. You've got Aaron Rodgers now, Steve, but the Jets have significant holes. You get the Buffalo Bills, who have been 47-18 in the last 4 years, but can't get over the hump. You've got the Miami Dolphins, who made the playoffs last year, but got knocked out quickly by the Buffalo Bills. And then you've got the New England Patriots. Who do you like in this division? Who makes the playoffs out of this division?
If you're asking me, Buffalo runs away with this division. I think they go 12-5, and they're a contender for the Super Bowl. A lot of things have to happen for any team to get in the Super Bowl. We all know that, but I like them a lot. I think they're the class act in the AFC East. I think everybody, the other three teams are all, like you said, toughest division, probably top to bottom. Miami,
I never said that. I said it's the second toughest. It's not even close.
I know you're going to go with the AFC Central.
Central.
The AFC North.
AFC North, whatever it is.
There's nobody that doesn't think the AFC North is the toughest division in football.
No, give me a break. There's one good team in that division. It's
You said the AFC Central.
There's one good team in that division. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we're not there yet. So
3 teams will make the playoffs.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Are you going to make a pick?
We'll hold that conversation until we get there, Mike.
You picked the Jets? No,
I
you
picked the
Bills,
Jets to go
right?
10-7 to be a wild card team. I think Aaron Rodgers is one of these quarterbacks. He's like Brady. He's going to be good till he quits.
He's
playing.
not like Brady. If he was, he would have more than
like
one
Brady,
ring.
but I'm saying he's.
You just
like
said he
Brady.
was, and now you said nobody's like Brady, so that means I'm right.
Here we go.
You're right in a sense of you're taking me literally and not figuratively.
Well,
in
usually at a show like this, I would take you literally.
When Rodgers retires, he's still going to have years left in him to play, but I think he'll walk away from it. I think he'll do some good. I think he'll rally the troops in New York. I know that town is excited as hell about the Jets. They pumped up. The stadium's going to be full for the first time since Namath frickin' played there in the late 60s. I think it's a good thing for New York. Although I did hear something that people are getting kind of pissed because Rodgers is studying Broadway plays more than he's studying the Jets playbook right now. He's reviewing every play. He and his teammates are all going to Broadway plays. Everybody says, go see Back to the Future. He says, everybody in the team says, you got to see Back to the Future. I haven't seen that one yet. It's about the only one I haven't seen in Broadway. I got to get out to New York and go see Back to the Future. Doc Brown and Marty McFly.
I'd rather just watch the movie.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going a different way. I think the Miami Dolphins win this division.
Oh, my
You've got Vic Fangio. You got Vic Fangio, who is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. He consistently has one of the best defenses, no matter where he is. You have a skill group of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, a dynamic rushing attack. They can go point for point for anybody. If Tua Tagovailoa stays healthy for the entire season, Miami is the best team. They win the division. The Buffalo Bills did nothing to fix any of their issues, which creeped up when they played Cincinnati in the playoffs last year, which was their offensive line was actually worse than the Bengals.
Hey, Mike,
what?
I'll make you a side bet on that one. Tell you what, you take the Dolphins, I'll take the Bills. If the Dolphins win, I got to send you either a Dolphins hat or a Bengals hat, a new era fitted cap, the $50 one. I don't know if you can afford a $50 hat, but we'll do that one. And if the Bills win, you send me either a Chargers or a Colts one. Okay, is that a bet?
Sure.
Awful bet.
Huh?
I love that.
The Miami Dolphins.
Is that a bet, Mike? Mike, don't give me any shit. Is that a bet?
I'm pretty sure that I already said yes.
Okay. Lock it in. I'm putting it down.
Lock it in.
Put it down on our game pick.
So this bet is who has the better record between the Dolphins and the Bills.
Dolphins and the Bills, all right?
Dolphins, Bills.
If the Bills do, you send me either my choice of a new era fitted baseball cap of either.
And you got to wear and you got to wear the hat on the air.
You got to wear the hat on the air.
But how are we going to give New Era doesn't make hats that big.
They make a 7 3/4. I got 1/8 right here. There you go. 7 3/4 right here.
Oh my
there
God.
You go. 7 3/4. My IU hat for the IU Basketball Weekly Show starting next week. Little plug there. Brought to you by, what's the name of the people that sponsor us, Mike?
The Grilling Truth. We got bigger than the people that sponsored us. So
what?
We got bigger than the people that sponsored us. So now we're at the Grilling Truth.
So that's the bet.
All right.
Bills have the better record. You send me a hat of my choice. I
love it.
Miami has a better record. I'll send you the hat of your choice. New era, fitted. Fuck, I don't know if they, excuse my French. I don't know if they make a hat small enough for your little pinhead. I got to go to your sizes. I don't know if then if New Era.
Well, if you want, I could just start eating everything that gets near me, so I could be a fat ass like you. Dan, who do you like in the AFC?
40 pounds. How much have you lost?
Actually, 3 months ago I was 197. Now I'm 170.
Ooh.
Okay, 27 pounds. You got 13 to go just to catch me.
Woo.
I don't think so, because when you're a lard ass, it's a lot easier to lose the weight,
God.
because
See,
the
now
first
we're back to
25
name
pounds
calling.
is water. Well, because you called me names.
I called you a pinhead. That's not lying.
You said a little pain.
Look at
little
your head.
pinhead. Look at your face.
I'm old.
And ugly.
That's right.
All right, Dan.
I never
who
claimed
you
to be a
got?
beauty
AFC
queen.
East.
So this is tough, and honestly, I really want to pick someone besides Buffalo, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go with Buffalo. I mean, they've got the best quarterback in the division, and that goes far in this league, man. As long as Allen is healthy, I don't see any way this team loses this division unless something crazy happens and like Stephon Diggs demands a trade out and everything gets thrown off, something along those lines. But
Diggs' best chance to get a Super Bowl sticking with Buffalo. He ain't going anywhere.
I know, because there's a good chance he's going to get one at Buffalo.
No, it's a better chance of going anywhere else.
It's
not really. Go to the NFC. I got a better chance.
It's also ugly that Von Miller is going to start the season on the physically unable to perform list. I think I saw something about him getting suspended for 4 games.
So remember this: you may have the better quarterback in Buffalo. Miami has better skill position players. Miami probably has a slightly better line, even though neither one are that good. But Miami has the better defense between the two.
They've got the stars on defense. I mean, Ramsey is hurt now, so we don't know when he'll be back. But they've got the names on defense. They've got Xavier Howard.
No, they've got Vic Fangio.
And
they've got Vic Fangio, and the other team has Leslie Frazier. I'll take Vic Fangio.
And honestly, as good as Miami is, and I like what they did this offseason too, I don't know if I trust Tua to stay healthy. That's the thing that holds this team back. That's why they lost in the playoff game, because friggin' Skylar Thompson was starting.
Well, actually, Skylar Thompson actually played
that's
pretty
quite
good.
Anybody in the NFL these days, any quarterback or position player.
Yeah, but Tua has never made it through more than 14 games in a season.
Even going back to college, he's had those issues, and now he's got concussion problems. Which, I mean, we know how serious the NFL is taking concussions these days.
Yeah. So, Steve, what that means is if Tua gets hurt before week 14, the bet's off. Go ahead, Dan.
No.
So if Tua gets one more concussion, it might be like that quarterback in any given Sunday, or no, there's a linebacker in any given Sunday where one more concussion can end his career. Like,
Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, that's a serious concern for Tua. Like, he's not a big guy. It's not like he's Josh Allen size, 6'4", 6'5", 230, 240. Like, Tua's a little man compared to these other quarterbacks. So, it's not like he's built to take a beating, and it's not like he's going to outrun anybody a la Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson or somebody like that.
Not to mention all the hurricanes Miami's got to play through.
A bunch of crazy things going on in Miami. But no, I'll take Buffalo.
All the illegal
Buffalo has to play through snowstorms when they get their ass whipped. All right, Steve, AFC South. Who's going to win it?
AFC South.
AFC South. I got Jacksonville. I think they run away with it. I think they're the only team with a winning record in that division. That's the crap division of the NFL, along with.
That's just them.
There's
maybe the NFC South.
Jacksonville's a above mediocre team, and they're cream of the crap. I think
you know what?
Colts.
I think this, Steve.
Colts are deep.
I think Houston will finish second.
What?
Houston will finish second in this.
Yeah,
division.
no, I agree with you there. I think Houston's they're up and coming. I think in a couple of years, Houston and Jacksonville are the new Tennessee and Indianapolis of the AFC South, and I think in a couple of years, both those teams are playing for playoff spots and to be impactful teams in the playoff. But it ain't happening this year. I think Jacksonville, because of the schedule, they play each of those teams twice. Crap, that's probably 6 wins right there.
Well, I'll tell you, speaking of that, Dan, I mean, Jacksonville's a threat to be the number 1 seed before this is all said and done, just because of the division they're in.
I mean, outside of the division, they're going to have to impress to do all that. But
but I'm saying right there, they should be 6-0 in this division starting off.
They should. They absolutely should.
Yeah.
So you go 6-5 the rest of the way. You go 12-5. You got a shot to be the number one.
I mean, you
seed.
got C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, the top 5 pick, and Will Levis.
Will Levis.
You know,
who the hell's Will Levis?
Yeah.
Will Levis?
Levis?
He's
Oh,
a Tennessee Titan.
That's Titans drafted.
He's a Titan. Richardson's a Colt.
I'm
But he
out
won't
west,
be for long.
man. We all wear jeans
Richardson
everywhere out here.
Richardson is like Trey Lance. It's not going to last for long.
Well, actually, I had a question about that because, Mike, I know you and I discussed this earlier this offseason, like when we were talking about the draft and
you guys
who
were
had
having
the best
conversations without me. Thanks.
Yeah, so we were talking about the draft and talking about who had the best offseason and stuff.
We have conversations without Dan, so quit bitching.
Oh, you're right. We do. Never mind.
So I actually
Dan and I
wanted
have conversations about you, Pinhead.
I don't care.
I actually wanted to bring this up, and I wanted to ask you guys because I don't know what the hell they're doing, but what the hell are the Indianapolis Colts doing with Anthony Richardson? They're starting him week 1, yet they're not putting the best possible team on the field because they're going through this drama, this childish drama with Taylor and Jonathan Taylor.
Taylor would not be playing anyways, would he?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's healthy. I think they just put him on the PUP because of this drama, this trade issue going back and forth. But like, what are they doing? Are they trying to derail Anthony Richardson's development before it even starts?
I'm gonna tell you what,
they would derail it by signing Jonathan Taylor.
Did you? Yeah, I think I agree with Mike there. I right now I just cut him loose now because he's going to want so much ungodly money that he's going to slow the development of the Colts. But as long as Irsay's there, the development's slowed anyway. So that ain't going to really matter.
So, Dan, let me ask you this. Would you give him like the biggest contract in football for a running back? He didn't play last year, did he?
He didn't play since his first year.
I mean,
did he? How many games did he play?
He missed
half of them.
Yeah, he missed like.
Okay, and he would, if they had him signed right now, he would not be playing.
No, he's 4 weeks
he's
out.
Still hurt.
He's on PUP.
So wouldn't it be stupid? Wouldn't it be dumber to give him the contract he wants when you don't even know if he's ever going to be what he was again?
Luckily, it's because of his position and the way the position's being looked at these days in the league. No one wants to pay running backs.
No.
It's the way it should.
I would say Richardson looked pretty capable with the football in his hands.
Oh, Steve, stop with that stupid shit.
Stop that.
Go ahead, Dan.
Listen, I watched every single snap of every Gators game last year, and I can't tell you how disgusted I was with Anthony Richardson every single week. Now, don't get me twisted. The Florida Gators aren't some amazing offensive team with tons of amazing skill position players and a wide open offensive system.
He completed like 53% of his passes.
He was awful. And sure, he could run like Lamar Jackson. And he has an arm like Patrick Mahomes. He could throw it anywhere on the field. But that's cool if you're playing in the backyard. That's cool if you're playing pickup football. This guy just showed no improvement over the course of the season. And I don't care what Taylor wants. If you're going to start a rookie quarterback, you should want your best team on the field to give that kid.
Yeah, but Taylor wouldn't be playing.
Still, give him a 1-year extension for $15 million that season.
What part of this don't you understand? If they give him what he wants, he still can't play week 1.
Yeah, I agree with Mike on this.
At least you know he's
jersey.
At least you know
you
he's
don't know
back.
He's gonna play. No, you don't.
He's not. He doesn't have a season-ending injury,
dude. I'll tell you what. The quickest way to kill your team is to get some selfish, entitled asshole on your team and overpay him. Jonathan Taylor needs to be gone. I never take Jim Irsay's side on anything, but he's right. They don't need him. There's nothing Jonathan Taylor can do for this team.
Mike,
right now,
Mike, as much as you look at my jersey, I mean, you know how I guys I am about the Colts. I agree with you, Mike. I just cut him loose. He's under contract this year, isn't he?
Why not? Yeah. I think he's got 1 or 2 years left, something
then
like
make
that.
Him go and earn his pay.
But
if you're going to Mike Woodson getting $1 million pay raise to coach the Indiana Hoosiers, what the hell has Mike Woodson won yet? He's won nothing.
But if you get
$1 million a year pay raise, I mean, it's like why?
Dan, Steve, save that for next week.
I'm going to.
So
Go ahead, Dan.
all right. So if you want to just get rid of the malcontent, fine. That's fine. That helps team chemistry.
Well,
Then-
he's going to turn into a malcontent.
Then don't start Richardson right away. Start Gardner Minshew.
I agree with
Then
that.
why'd you
I agree
draft
with that
him?
too.
I don't.
I
Why
saw
would you draft
Minshew
him?
play in the
The
preseason.
kid, Mike, come on. You got to admit.
No, come on.
Minshew
Yeah,
did
I
not
admit this.
look bad.
Wait a second. Explain this to me, Dan. How do you learn and become a better NFL quarterback
play.
by sitting with a clipboard and watching?
You play.
What is the biggest issue a college quarterback has going to the NFL?
They don't
Lack
get
of
playing
It's
time.
no, it's not lack of snaps. It's the speed of the game. You cannot get the speed of the game by sitting on the sideline. If I'm going to draft a
agree.
guy at the top of the draft and he's a quarterback and he can't start for me right away, I shouldn't have drafted him.
Yeah, but how many
Well,
times
Yeah.
over the last couple of decades have we seen
Not many.
a top quarterback get taken and they're normally on bad teams? Like there's a few guys that
Like
stand
Joe
out that
Burrow?
produce right away.
Well, Joe Burrow's an exception.
No, it's not
Are
a
you
few
kidding me?
guys.
My
Big Ben
Joe
Roethlisberger produced
Burrow
right
than
away.
anybody.
No, Big Ben had the best defense in the league and an elite rushing game and an
Did
elite
he?
head coach.
What the hell's that got to do
What do you
with
mean?
anything?
That's how you win football
He's still
games,
playing
bro.
quarterback. He's playing quarterback.
I
You don't know how to
think
win football
given
games.
look, I
Shut the
think
fuck
I'm a
up.
Colts aficionado. I think given the situation, Colts are in the Caleb Bowl right now.
Can you give me examples of quarterbacks that sat for a couple years and then became really good?
I'll give you one. Aaron Rodgers.
You'll give me one.
I'll give you one. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and the reason he sat was because they had Brett Favre.
Now let's talk about the first round quarterbacks who started as rookies and ended up being successful. There's a lot less guys than that.
No, this is the thing, Dan. Most guys picked in the first round are not successful ever. But the ones that are start right away. Deshaun Watson started right away. Joe Burrow started right away.
Yeah, but how many times have we heard?
Even Kenny Pickett was playing by week 5.
How many times have we heard, oh, they're starting him before he's ready. Oh, they ruined his development.
Yeah, and who says that? People that don't know a fucking thing. And that's what I get sick of. Because it's basically just people that sit there and watch shit and think that you can get better by watching. It's stupid. That would be like this, all right? Dan, when you were like 13 or 14, I'm sure you touched yourself a lot, but it didn't make you good at sex when you finally had sex 20 years later, all right?
Fair.
Because it's not the same thing to watch it as it is to do it. So what I'm saying is you can't give me a reason or anything that makes it. You can't give me one thing that they learn from watching.
Yeah, but what happens if you start this guy and he sucks?
Well, let's move on.
And it ruins his.
Then he sucks.
And it
You're
ruins
not
his.
going to
it
ruin
ruins
him
his
because he's going to suck 2 years later too.
Let's go. Let's
Aaron
move
Rodgers,
on.
put it like this. Aaron Rodgers would have 2 Super Bowl championships right now if he would have started his rookie year when Brett Favre threw the interception to lose the NFC Championship game, because Aaron Rodgers is an infinitely better quarterback than Brett Favre.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Rodgers was great from his first snap. So why do you think that a year before he wouldn't have been great?
I mean, if the team thought he should have sat. Honestly, if they thought he was better than Favre for the 3 years prior to that, don't you think they would have moved on before they did?
No, because they had to wait until the fans.
Yeah, but no, you don't run
a
a franchise because of the fans.
Yeah, they do, but they do.
That's stupid.
A lot of teams do. But a lot of teams do. Green Bay did.
If you have the better
Green
quarterback,
Green Bay should have gotten Brett Favre immediately when they got Aaron Rodgers.
Hell, I agree. But anywho, let's move on. So,
all right, let's go to the.
Anyway, I think this. I think the Colts should have not taken Richardson and just stuck with Minshew for a season, gone for the Caleb Williams hunt, and drafted a really damn good left tackle. And then have some protection lined up, shore up that offensive line, and then get Caleb in here next year. And then the Colts might make themselves semi-respectable, except they still got Irsay.
All right, so let's go to the AFC North. I'll let Dan start off. This, to me, is the best division because I really think the Pittsburgh Steelers are really good. I think the Cleveland Browns are better than what people think. I think they may have the best offensive line in football. You've got the Baltimore Ravens with a version of Lamar Jackson that we've never seen, which is he has Todd Monken to go ahead and run an NFL offense instead of the Greg Roman bullshit. And then you had the Bengals, who played in the Super Bowl and the championship game the last 2 years. To me, it would not surprise me if 3 of these teams make the playoffs, Dan.
I love this division, and you said it. You're 100% right.
Hey, and I don't think any team here could do better than 3-3 or 4-2 in this division.
The best division in football. I'm going to pick the Cincinnati Bengals. They are the best team in the AFC, I think. And as much as I love Patrick Mahomes and as good as I think Josh Allen is, let's be completely honest. Neither one of those rosters touch Cincinnati's roster. Cincinnati, top to bottom, elite. All they need to do is get slightly above average play. You know, average play from their offensive line.
Average play doesn't in the NFL anymore on the offensive, because average makes you in the top 5.
Average. Just be average. Just don't suck. And you will be the number 1 team in the AFC, and you'll probably make another Super Bowl. It's that simple. They've got everything else you want. I'm going to pick Cincinnati for this division, but Mike, I love me some Baltimore. I love Lamar Jackson. I love the Browns. I think Watson should recover from his shitty play last season. And I love everything the Steelers did this offseason. They filled every gap that they needed to on both sides of the ball. They added depth at key spots. We could very well have 3 playoff teams from this division, and I wouldn't even be mad at it.
All right, Steve, what's your assessment of the AFC North?
I agree. It's hard to fight. I think this is the most brutal division to win in the AFC.
Should we rewind this film to the start when I said the AFC North was the best and Steve said there's only one good team in the division?
No, I remember that. Oh, how things have changed.
I stand corrected. Mike, when I make mistakes, I admit I made a mistake and move on.
Yeah.
I'm not like you.
So do I. Well, I don't make mistakes, so go ahead.
See, there you go. You're right. You don't make mistakes.
So, Steve.
Your wife made a huge mistake. I know that.
Ooh.
Did she?
Yeah.
Was that by saying, you can go talk to Steve?
Go ahead.
Who's it going to be, Steve? The Bengals?
Oh, yeah. I think Bengals 13-4. I think they run away with this. The only thing about it is Bengals have never won 3 straight NFC North. Never. And it got.
We've never won the NFC North, Steve.
What?
We've never won the NFC North.
You won last 2 seasons, didn't you?
No, we didn't, because last year the Vikings won it.
The AFC North. I said AFC, didn't I? All right. Well,
You said NFC. I know. I'm being a smart ass.
You are being a smart ass. So
don't use the Lord's name in vain.
And I got to see Joe Burrow stay healthy, and he's just a target now. He's a target. People want to.
He's missed no games in the last 2 years.
Get him out of the game. He's a threat to the Chiefs.
Target.
I'm not sure I could put.
Hey, we forgot the AFC West, didn't we? Oh, go ahead,
we haven't got there yet.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not sure I can put Cincinnati above Kansas City yet, although I think it's a neck and neck race between the two. But I got to see Cincinnati win some stuff and not just get somewhere. So.
Well, the 3 out of 4 wins over the Chiefs probably shows.
Yeah, well, how many Super Bowls have they manifested that into?
And so Steve's got the Bengals. I got the Bengals. Mike, you got the Bengals?
Yeah,
but
are you
telling me
the
I'm
Steelers
done talking,
and the Ravens are making the playoffs too. Yeah, that's what he's telling you.
All right.
AFC West. We're trying to do the show in an hour, Steve. Shit, that was your idea. AFC West. I'll start this one off. I'll tell you. I think the best team in the AFC West, hands down, is the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue I have is Brandon Staley's a moron.
Yep.
So, since Brandon Staley's a moron, I'm still going to pick the Chargers to win the division.
All right.
I think this Chiefs team, they lost some key veterans again. And it sounds like Chris Jones is causing issues, right, Dan?
He's not happy. Let's just put it that way.
And the thing is this, if you take Chris Jones off that team last year, they don't get to the Super Bowl last year. Because Chris Jones played the game of his life in the AFC Championship game and absolutely abused Jonah Williams and the Bengals offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So if Chris Jones ain't happy, I'm going to take the Chargers. The Chiefs will still make the playoffs. They've got Patrick Mahomes, which means if you have Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow, you're probably winning more games than you lose no matter what your roster is. I think that I am going to take the Chargers to win the division. I think the Chiefs will come in second. I think Josh McDaniels is going to get his ass fired by mid-season. And I think Sean Payton will show you that, maybe he's just a little bit overrated.
Wow.
But that's my opinion, Dan.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to take Kansas City to win of the division, but I have huge questions outside of the situation with Chris Jones. I got huge questions about their offensive tackles. Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor. Now, they gave Jawan Taylor a big deal to come over from Jacksonville.
And he's a big-time downgrade from Orlando Brown. And I don't think Orlando Brown's Anthony Munoz, but he's a dude that dominates most except for elite guys. So I think right there, I mean, if you remove those two guys, they don't even get to the champion, or they don't even get to the AFC Championship game last year.
And I mean, outside of just downgrading at right tackle, the fact that they have Donovan Smith starting at left tackle is atrocious. You guys don't know, but I have like a personal vendetta against Donovan Smith's entire career because he's been one of the worst starting offensive tackles in the league since he started as a starter. Okay. He had 12 penalties last year, which was the 4th highest in the league. He allowed, I think, 6 or 7 sacks, which is also awful. And that's just been his MO for his whole career. I don't understand how not only is this man still a starting left tackle, but somehow he continues to get these starter level contracts.
Well, and Jawan Taylor, they way overpaid.
They way overpaid for both of their tackles. And Smith isn't even getting paid that much. I just don't know why he's starting. He's a turnstile at left tackle. They're going to get Mahomes killed. I know Mahomes can run around with the best of them, and he's a magician back there and blah, blah, blah. But, like, you're really playing with fire. We saw what happened to Mahomes when his offensive line was trash. He got abused. He got beaten up, and they got embarrassed on national television in the Super Bowl. And when they've struggled against teams like Cincinnati. Why? Because Cincinnati's pass rush is right. Their defensive line is right. Their defense is good. Their secondary is athletic. Like, they've made plays. And Mahomes struggles with, I mean, all quarterbacks struggle with that. You get in their face. Even the great Tom Brady, is liable to make some mistakes here and there. But protecting Mahomes should be paramount. You don't want to have happen what happened to the Bengals, losing the last couple of years because your offensive line was trash and wasting potentially 2 championship seasons or 3 championship seasons, whatever. Just bad. Just bad. I hate it. But I'm going to take Kansas City regardless because I don't trust the Chargers. And as much as I like Denver and I like that they got Sean Payton, I don't trust them either.
Man, Sean Payton's an asshole. Steve, what do you think?
I just can't bet against the Chiefs at this point in time in the AFC. I understand there are other teams, Bengals among the top, and Buffalo being good, but I think Kansas City. The thing that I like about Patrick Mahomes is this is a guy, and Dan, you hit on it, that he got the crap beat out of him, but this guy's willing to go out on the field and play hurt. And there's a lot of damn quarterbacks in the NFL. They get a busted toenail, and they're out on the IR for 8 weeks. And Mahomes goes out there with a broken or sprained ankle, tapes it up, and goes and hobbles his way into games and keeps playing. And I think that I think teams are going to have to beat the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are going to give it away. I love the Chargers, but Herbert, can he stay healthy? Denver, I think 2 wildcard teams come out of this division is where I think he'll come. I think Denver and Chargers are definite wildcard potentials, and I think the Chiefs win. But I think 3 of the 4 teams in here, and the Raiders, again, Garoppolo's the same way. Garoppolo's not a bad quarterback, but the guy doesn't stay healthy. And I think they'll be without him 4 games into the season, and they'll be gone. But I like Kansas City. Denver, it just continues to get incrementally better. And I think the Chargers are poised. And I could even make a prediction and say the Chargers get to the AFC Championship game out of the West. So,
all right, we're getting ready to make that prediction. So who will the Chargers play in the AFC Championship game?
Bengals.
That's your prediction. So Chargers versus Bengals. Dan?
I mean, let's go for round 3. I'm going to go Kansas City, Cincinnati.
I will go Cincinnati versus Baltimore.
Ooh.
Ooh.
All right. So
who wins the AFC, Dan?
Cincinnati.
Steve?
Cincinnati.
I'll go Cincinnati. NFC Championship game. Steve?
Dallas versus Philadelphia.
Dan?
Philly versus San Francisco.
I will say Dallas versus Philadelphia.
Okay.
So, who goes to the Super Bowl in your Dallas-Philadelphia championship game, Steve?
Depends on where the game's played.
Well,
Dallas,
who did you have winning the division? You had Dallas winning the division, so it'll be at Dallas.
So I say Dallas goes to the Super Bowl this year.
Okay, Dan.
I think
Philly,
Prescott's ready. I think Prescott's ready for the challenge.
I'm going to go with San Francisco. We've seen them get there with a quarterback who doesn't impress.
Garoppolo? You don't like Garoppolo? I thought you loved Garoppolo.
And just doesn't turn the ball over and gets the ball.
Garoppolo doesn't play for them, Steve.
I know, but he did when they got to the Super Bowl.
Oh. Yeah. They know how to win with a quarterback who's not elite.
You know anything?
So I'll go with
San Fran. I know that you're a dumbass, Steve.
At least I'm not a pinhead.
Okay. Yes, it'd be much better to be fat and overweight. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the Super Bowl is Cincinnati versus Philadelphia with the Bengals winning. Dan?
I got San Francisco, Cincinnati, and I'm going to pick San Francisco.
There's no way they could beat Cincinnati with a shit quarterback, dude. All right, which is also no way they're getting the NFC Championship game probably either because of it. But, Steve, you've got Cincinnati versus Dallas.
I got Cincinnati versus Dallas. I'm gonna go with Dallas on this one. I just think it's the year of the Cowboy.
So, all right, real quick. What are your guys' NFC wildcard teams? Mike?
My NFC wildcard teams would be the 49ers.
And the Eagles?
49ers, Eagles, Giants.
Giants, okay. Steve-O?
Hang on, let me take a look here. I got wild card teams. I got the Eagles. I got the Eagles. Oh, man, I tell you, this is tough.
Steve's definitely pooping.
I got the Eagles, the Seahawks, and I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Okay. I got Dallas, Seattle, and gross. Everything else sucks.
I know. That's what I mean. Vikings were just a pick based on last year.
Now, you know what? I'm going to go with the Giants, too.
Yeah, I almost took the Giants, too.
So Dallas, Seattle, and the Giants. Got those. All right. And give me your 3 AFC wild cards.
Chiefs, Ravens, Bills.
All right. Steve?
I got Denver, Chargers.
Okay.
And Ravens.
Denver, Chargers, Ravens. I'm gonna go Baltimore, Jets, and you know what? Yeah, and I'm gonna go with the Chargers too. Screw it. Yeah, even though I probably shouldn't. So let me make it all coordinated here. And bring it up.
Hat. Did you get the hat bet down, Dan?
Oh, I wrote it down. Don't you worry. All right. Let me share this. Boom. Boom. Here we are, boys.
Miami a better record than Buffalo.
This is what we're looking at here. This is it. Michael Jackson. So we got the NFC East, North, South, West. All our predictions here, boom. Our 3 wild cards, boom, all pretty and color coordinated. AFC, here we go. Look good?
Looks fine to me.
Let's see.
And then we got this. We got our Super Bowl winners and losers. I got San Fran versus Cincy. Mike, you got Cincy versus Philly. Steve, you got Dallas versus Cincy. So Cincinnati, we all got it. The NFC, as we all discussed, as we already know, is wide open. Each of us have 3 different teams making it. But it looks like it could very well be the Bengals' year.
Yeah. That means nothing just because we all 3 picked them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think we might have all 3 picked them in the Super Bowl last year, too.
Probably.
So.
Probably. I got to look back and see.
But I think the
actually
Bengals are the best team on paper in the NFL right now.
That's why you picked Dallas to win the Super Bowl, huh, Steve?
You don't play the game on paper, Mike.
No, you play it with Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott.
Uh-huh.
All right, guys, we want to let you guys know next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Sound good, guys, for Week 1 prediction show?
Sounds good.
No. We'll discuss off the air, but that will not work for me.
What did last year?
And won't this year.
No, it's going to have to. It'll just be me and Steve, and you're going to lose everything.
There's a pole dancing contest going on in Windsor.
All right, guys, so keep an eye out. We will update you there. Make sure go to BetMGM, check the link in the description below in the YouTube videos section of here to click on that to get the best place to bet on NFL games this year. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Grilling Truth. Follow Steve Risley on Twitter at SRisley34. Follow Dan at
DB Talking Sports. D as in Dan, B as in Bob.
All right, guys, so we're going to wrap it up. For Steve Risley, Dan Kornhauser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grilling Truth, where the legends speak.
Hey, whoa, hang on.